Right. So today I have Ronald Tee with me. He is a close friend and he works in financial services. So Ronald and I are in similar careers, and Ronald, similar to myself, is an immigrant who moved from Malaysia and has kindly taken the time out to share some of his insights and experiences from the financial services world and living in Europe. So over to you, Ronald, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Zarish. My name is Ronald, originally from Malaysia. So I'm the third generation of Chinese immigrant myself in Malaysia.
Right.
And then I came to the UK probably around 30 years ago. So studied here, worked here, left the UK, came back here to study and work. So I've been living in the UK majority of my career life. However, I also located and assigned to various different countries in the EU. So it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ronald. Appreciate it. Ronald, appreciate it. So, Ronald, you briefly touched upon something I want to question you on.
Sure.
So, like you said, you've lived in Malaysia, you've lived in a couple of European countries, you've obviously lived in Britain, specifically London. So, out of your experiences, where did you like living the most and why?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Because every single country I live in, there's a beauty of it, and there's also some inconvenience at those places I live. So what I tend to do is to look at the positive side of the places I tend to explore so that I can have a full enjoyment of my life when I live here or in the specific places. So for me, there is no best countries or better countries where there are. It's basically the positivity of the mindset, how you can enjoy your life and at what stage of your life and career at that particular time. So basically, I quite enjoy any places I've been, and I try to make full use of it.
Noted. That's a good way to put it. I think a lot of us forget to appreciate the positives of a certain place, especially when we're in the middle of it. But like you said, you've been here 30 years. In the 30 years you've lived here, what are the differences or changes you've noticed, either for the good or for the bad, that you want to talk about? It's just from an inside perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was here first time 1997.
Wow.
It's very different from now. Obviously, in 1997, when you get to London, it's all red box telephones. You still use a dial and using the coin to communicate. And they always run out of money because if you do a long distance call, it's taking a lot of money.
Okay.
In terms of technology, I think where things have changed. Yeah, our life now is a lot much more convenient, much more better.
Right.
I think the technology actually enhances our quality of life.
Right.
And also in terms of the sheer amount of people in London, certainly a lot more people. It's very crowded, particularly in the central London.
Yep.
A lot of tourists, a lot of people coming to study and to work. So I can see the population density has changed quite significantly within the central part of London, also outer part of London. And unfortunately, I also noticed there is a lot more, I would say, anti-social behavior.
Yes.
Compared now to 30 years ago, there's a lot more vandalism, theft of phone or bikes. I would say some, there's some people littering,
Yes.
rubbish around. So things like people are a certain portion of city has gone downhill, and obviously there's also a development where there's still continuous development and foreign investment coming into London, particularly in the service sectors. So I would say goods and bad over the past 30 years.
I think that's a good point you raised. And do you reckon the vandalism or the cons that have increased, is it because of uncontrolled population or immigration, or do you think it's lack of law and order, lack of institutions being as strong?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's probably because of several factors. First is potentially the inequality in wealth.
For sure.
In London, if you cross one street, you have a multi-millionaire living in a beautiful mansion, beautiful houses, and then you have about next to it is also houses, estate that's not properly maintained. So there's a big discrepancy of wealth So I think when you have such a big inequality in society, it tends to create unwanted behavior. And people use shortcuts to actually try to gain the benefits. So unfortunately, I think that inequality of wealth has increased. So that's one factor. And also, secondly, is because there's a lot more population coming into London. So that means when we have a bigger population, there's a much bigger diversity in terms of people's behavior, their upbringings, their tendency to do certain things in the society. Therefore, that also potentially contribute to that part, like reasons of variance. And thirdly, I believe this is still a country of rule of law. There's still a very strict, clear guidance of what is legal, what is illegal. It's just the execution where law enforcement is actually at a weak side. Probably because there is a lot of procedures need to get through to prosecute someone. And also the law enforcement resources is actually being stretched. I believe they cut down a lot of police forces and law enforcement resources are actually quite limited.
Yes.
So the ratio between law enforcement to the population, I believe, has already dropped quite significantly.
I think similarly, speaking about that, like you said, if we look at the NHS or the healthcare sector, I think when you would have moved here, NHS was performing a lot better because you had higher resources compared to the number of people.
Yeah.
And now for basic reconstruct checks, we spend 7-8 months on the waiting line. However, on the face of it, UK claims to be a very welfare state, but I know getting that sort of healthcare takes time.
Correct.
And it's getting worse because we have more people.
More people, resources remains not as
on
par, doesn't correlate with the number of increasement in the population.
Fully agree.
So it's very much stretched in the public resources.
Very true. Now, to your point, so obviously you've lived here many years. Ronald, you've seen the goods and the bads, and you've seen how UK has transitioned, specifically London has transitioned. Obviously, a lot of students or international students still want to come here, study, potentially make a life for themselves. What would you advise them? Would you say that it's still London is something that can cater to a good life, or would you reckon there are better opportunities elsewhere for people to focus on?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I know there are so many different countries have good tertiary sectors, tertiary education, but London and probably US is still the top destination.
Yeah.
There are a few primary sources that drive this trend. One is, I think, it's an English speaking. It's a well-established education institution. The Oxford, Cambridge, the University of London is well established.
Yeah.
So there is our reputation that is still maintained up to now. So naturally, if you have good reputation, and also the ranking of a UK university is quite high in the top 10, top 15. So that naturally attract the people. If I have ambition, get into university, well, look at Oxford, Cambridge, MIT, Harvard. So this, I think UK still maintain that advantage over many other countries. What is probably more challenging is before coming to pursue a tertiary education, whoever try to go through this path have to think quite carefully what they try to get out of this education. Because it is a very big investment, but you're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds for a bachelor degree.
Right.
School fees and also
living
expenses too. So it's a big investment. So the return of investment you also need to incorporate into before you make these decisions.
Yes.
So what I would encourage people to think is think about what you want in first. Is it purely knowledge based return? Is it future job opportunity?
Right.
Is it a global experience where you can have a good life and see sports and culture across different countries and globe? So, or is it a combination of everything?
Yeah. I
think if this combination of many things, UK is still offering a pretty attractive options. It is well-established institutions, both academic and research. And also there is a global kind of feeling in the campus. But you get into a university in the UK, basically like London, you are exposed to basically some kind of United Nations environment. In a more with all kind of people and you can get interaction, understand each other, learn how to be independent, learn how to manage finances in case for expenses, learn how to go through the resilient phases of life. And of course, if you someone do well in the university, I believe currently the university offer the post study visa.
Yes.
Of people to have 2 years of visa free looking at opportunities. So all these taken into consideration, I would say university will be attractive place to study.
I think you've actually well rounded that answer very well. So thank you for that. And to your point on the global experience side of it, when I came to the LSE, it was on paper actually established that we had more nationality. Yes, and we had more nationality than the UN itself.
Yes, very impressive.
So I obviously, go to your point, I did come across a lot of nationalities and I learned a lot in the process, right? The different cultural nuances, how I remember I came across a lot of people from China, learned what they cook, how they live, a lot of people from India. So, it gave me that holistic picture, which I probably wouldn't have gotten back.
Yeah.
And secondly, Ronald, there's something you mentioned, and I wanted to sort of touch upon that.
Sure.
You said that obviously, from a return on investment perspective, UK, specifically London, does give you a good return. If you pay for a degree, you get the experience, explore your post-study work visa. However, the few years I've been here, I have noticed, looking at the economical cost of living, I haven't noticed our salaries have kept up as much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that can be a global issue just because of the volatility and what's happening around us. But there have been times where I've questioned whether moving to the US back in the day would have been a better option because of how the salary differentiation has worked. Have you felt the same, or is it just me being cynical?
No, you are absolutely right in terms of what you just said.
Yeah.
Just I mentioned it's a whole collective of package. It's not just looking at monetary reward.
Right.
But if you look at monetary reward, value for money, the UK degree unfortunately is not in the top ranking because it's very expensive for the university degree and the job. I would say medium salary in the UK is probably ranging around 35 to 40K.
Right.
Annual salary after minus tax, maybe £2,500 per month. That's a good month. When you look at the rental in the UK, London is specifically right. I don't know, you rent a one-room apartment, £1,500, £2,000.
Thank you.
If you share with other people, at least £1,000 per person.
Yes.
So that leaves you 1,200, 1,500 to start. Live on transport, council tax, food. Yeah, I mean, there's some entertaining. Basically, very tight. Like we are talking about national average here. Obviously, as a fresh graduate, probably get lower than that. So you're absolutely right in terms of monetary. I would say, Singapore.
Yeah.
Singapore's salary is high.
Yes.
Taxes is low, and the student fees is low.
Yes.
So Singapore is a very attractive
destination. Yeah.
US school fee is very high, but however you look at the salary in the same professional level, I would say US American probably make double in British equivalent salary. Even Australia also have a getting to kind of income ratio compared to the EU. So monetary term, then yes, you're right. It's actually not a bit sensible because it's quite a struggling phase, particularly for a manager who's just get a mini job for the first few years because the amount of money is basically means their life is actually struggling rather than living comfortably.
Yeah, and that's what I thought and I noticed. And to your point, I think, like you said, US obviously pays at least double for similar sort of roles and designations, but I've also seen they get bonuses more frequently and at a very high level. Like I know people similar to my designation or at my level or tier, they probably get bonuses every quarter. Mm-hmm. And they're decent enough bonuses to get a luxury watch every quarter, which we can't fathom here. Yep. So, and then you have some add-on costs, right? I think to to your point, like other than bills, like we're paying things like council tax, the BBC license fees, the TV license, like there's things that people don't even think about
Right.
that we're paying for.
Yeah. And also, I think US they also pay less income tax.
Yes.
So much higher salary, lower income tax, and obviously a lot of monetary reward in terms of bonus,
Then
that compensation. So yeah. So UK has a distance to catch up.
very, very much so. Very, very much so. And then on that, so Ronald, obviously you're more experienced than me, and you've seen more of the world than me, worked before Copenhagen as well. And if you were to look back in hindsight, just 2020, do you think you made the right decision of building your career here, or do you reckon you would have gotten a better exposure elsewhere?
My career is actually a bit diverse. I have been changing my career in London numerous number of times.
Yeah.
And every time I change, there's a disruption in the progress. So it means that I need to start everything almost from scratch.
Yeah.
And at the decision time, at the point of time, whether I want to make a change, I think that's really, you need to make some considerations on whether the change is worth it. What are you looking for in the future?
Right.
So at hindsight, obviously, if I can have one career in a similar domain and then I look through that, I would probably get a much better career path than now. But unfortunately, due to several circumstances, I changed my career 3 times in a totally different direction. But think of it is also probably not a bad thing because I got to experience different things. I get in touch with different culture, that's corporate culture.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not a bad or good thing, but I think it's just a different life experience.
That makes sense. And then you said you've had diverse work experiences and you worked in different sectors. So maybe tell us a bit about that and what are the differences you've noticed in the 3 different sectors you worked in? And what would you prefer now that you've learned enough around the 3 sectors?
Well, look back 20 years ago. So, yeah, I started in my engineering career. So I was a telecom engineer based in Zurich since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
So good things. I really enjoyed my engineering work. I was doing all this networking for data, optical network. So very happy life. Obviously, during the time, Switzerland is actually quite a boring place.
Right.
I was 20 plus years. It's quite boring. Nothing much to do apart from doing some climbing of a mountain and swimming in a lake.
Yeah.
So I get bored, so I had to go back to Singapore in circuits.
Right.
And when I was young, more interested, I try out some business. So I did some business in terms of telecom business, setting up some small company.
Right.
I start working on it. I could get some clients. But it's not so easy in business. You need to get some learning. If it doesn't work out, then probably maybe need to change a different business model.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I feel that maybe I want to get more in-depth understanding of my engineering knowledge. And I'm quite interested in wireless. Yes. I think the telecommunication data, maybe wireless communication is actually quite interesting.
Right.
So I did go into research. I did my PhD in the UK for wireless communication.
Right.
So that's my first phase.
Okay.
So I think my first phase is quite interesting. I get exposed to technology that is evolving. And also I get to do things that is actually quite interesting and satisfying.
Right.
But then I go into more research, research is very theoretical. Probably that's where I say, maybe I'll do something commercial.
Right.
Then I moved to my second phase of career, where I start thinking in consultancy.
Nice.
So I did for some boutique consulting. So I work in 2 different consulting, so I'm providing consulting services for forensic investigations and also electronic discovery. So consulting is also quite fun because you get to do different kind of projects.
Yeah.
So maybe on one particular week we have 5 different projects in this meeting. Yeah. But then after about trying probably in the Western mix, as you asked me to find a weekend for a whole week next week. So things like that. It's fun, it's interesting, but it's also kind of tiring.
Yes. Right.
And that moved me to the third phase of my career when I decided to join banking in financial institutions.
Yeah.
Where focusing on analytics, particularly in financial finance. That's why I accepted and I feel that this is a more stable phase, and also quite happy to catch the phase in this AI,
Yeah.
Gen AI stuff. So that the phase also have some meaningful conversion where I can keep in touch with the latest evolution of technology.
Right.
So looking back, I think both three phases of my career are equally beneficial, equally productive.
Yes.
Just different experience.
Different experience, and I think because of what you've explained, you've gone in the travel, meet different sorts of people. Plus, you've seen how people operate in different sorts of corporates.
Correct.
And to your point, I think consulting is definitely very entertaining. And I do miss it. Yes, it's volatile, it's entertaining, very emotive, but I do get it, right? Because you're expected to travel on a wave and you don't know where you'll be sent. Sometimes it's exhausting, but it starts affecting your personal life.
How to plan for your year, you
Thank you.
meet your friends, when you do something, holidays, it can be disruptive.
You want to work out, you want to do a laundry, even it's difficult. But and I think you just touched a very hot topic, which especially people who are younger than us, who are students that are very interested in. You said obviously you worked on analytics side of things, but then currently there's this whole evolution or revolution around Gen AI. So how has that impacted what you do? Have you seen some good changes? And if you wanted to recommend people, do you think AI is the space to be, or how they can upskill themselves? Is it even mandatory, or you think AI is just a phase and it will die down?
I think we are in a very interesting phase in the past few years, maybe in the foreseeable future, where there is a very strong disruptive technology, has a disruptive revolution.
Right.
I don't know which phase, but maybe fourth phase of revolution, if you don't, where there's a technology can change the entire footprint of our life,
That is very true.
ranging from services we receive, the services we provide, the how things is actually produced.
Yeah.
Probably in the future, agricultural things like that. So it's going to have a huge impact. I don't think it's something that will die down. It will be something that will evolve very quickly.
Right.
And certainly impact your job. So one would expect certain job which exists now will no longer exist in the near future.
Yes.
And you can imagine how powerful the technology is. You can just look at how the model performed 1 year ago versus now.
Very true.
Huge increment in terms of efficiency and the accuracy.
Mhm.
And we also look at how much money people put into this. NVIDIA become, I think, 4 trillion company.
4 trillion. Yeah.
From a company that cost maybe a few billions,
That's
some billions, suddenly 4 trillion.
true.
And then you have, I think, Apple is also $3 billion company.
Yes.
Probably Amazon and Google. So a few companies together, I think people say 7, 8 companies, big companies combined together is higher than the GDP of China.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the market capitalization of all these companies.
And it's been so quick, right?
So quickly. Nobody can think about a company can cost more than 1 trillion.
Yeah.
If you talk about this 10 years ago, 1 trillion company is
They never happened.
it never happened. But now you look at so many companies hitting the trillion mark. I think Anthropic is doing IPO for 800 billion.
I saw.
Close to 1 trillion.
Exactly.
Open AI. So how can this, where does this money actually come from?
It's so true, actually, thinking about it. And also the cost of keeping them running, right? The quantum computing and the amount of sources, yeah.
Absolutely. For this model to run effectively, you need 2 components. One is sheer amount of data,
Right.
and then secondly is huge amount of energy resources.
Yes.
Europe is probably not in a good place because Europe energy price per unit is probably the highest.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
So it doesn't have any competitive advantage. Data, I'm not sure because Europe also have the most stringent data protection law. You can't really use a lot of the personal identifier information.
Right. Sure.
Whereas you compare to China, they probably a lot more relaxed
Yeah.
and they have a lot of renewable energy. So the competition is not on par.
Not on farm. China's probably going to keep exploding, I think, and they're building an ecosystem that supports where the world is headed.
Correct.
I think Europe, specifically UK for that matter, has left that thing behind.
Yes. They can't compete. I think only US and China are the two players in the world. The rest is just maybe user, maybe can contribute a bit, but I can't see how the others, people, the other countries can actually become to
compete with them.
compete. So,
They're small consumers and the whole the game of where we're headed. But so Ronald, like obviously, as you were working, AI has suddenly exploded on the footprint. Like we were using it or we were hearing about AI, but we weren't day to day using it that much. And now it's evolving at a pace that I sleep tonight. By tomorrow, something else has changed in the AI.
yes.
So looking at that and how fast it's moving, how are you keeping up with it? And do you think all these traditional degrees or education system are now helping people on this front?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big change in the way people learn absorb knowledge and what's actually useful for them in terms of either getting a better job or even they acquire knowledge for future progression. So what I can see is certainly people needs to be close to the development. For me, I also quite, I'm not as close because everything changed so fast. So it's very difficult to keep on top. But
one day we were using the tools and second day we were expected to deploy agents. And third day now I have no idea what's going on.
Correct. Yeah. One day, previously you can write some nice code and the AI probably help you on the debugging. But now you just say, ask the AI to write something for me. We can probably run everything for you. Every day you learn debugging and then deploy for you.
Yeah.
So there's a big change 1 year compared to now. It's a lot more accurate. Yeah, code is actually very powerful.
Yes.
Then you ask yourself, why would a person, go through all this computer science degree, come out, write some programming, but then you can't really beat that. The normal person can also write a much better codes using AI tools.
Yeah.
So yes, certainly there is a involvement there will influence the way they will be learning, like learn get out degree. For example, I believe now a lot of assignment is the AI system.
Yes. Even the lecturers, they're like, they don't know how to make them different here because everybody's
answers are perfect. How do I know which one is? You already know the content of the response. It's very curious.
They're struggling to give a percentile. Everybody's at the 70-65 mark because everybody's given the same mark.
So do you want to test people without the tools? You probably can say, I need the exam, but you can't use any tools.
Yeah.
But then people will question, you get all these answers, but in real life, you don't have to need this because you're not using that.
Exactly.
So that brings me my memory. Before that, there was no calculator. Many years ago, all the computation you handwrite.
Yet.
Then after that, a certain advanced thing, you can just use calculator. And people are very rusty in the calculation, right? The multiplication and the division, we use calculator.
Right.
So I think certain part of the human ability will be eroded because of technology.
We're using our brain less.
We are using our brain less, yes. We are doing less calculation, less logical thinking.
Less research. I just put everything in the air.
And then we probably depends on certain things we get, and probably we don't pressure too much, but then the rest, the answers might not be accurate.
Yeah.
So I think, it's a very challenging time. It's probably we need to make sure we still need to guide the foundation.
Yeah.
I think we still need to be strong in, let's say, mathematics.
Right.
If you are a science student, if you are a student, maybe you are doing history, you need to be strong in the understanding history, accounting, basic. I think the foundation undoubtedly still need to maintain at a very robust level.
Right.
And going beyond that, we can utilize the tools to actually increase the value add. But we certainly need to lay the foundation, in which I think the tertiary education would still has a very meaningful benefits to get to lay our strong foundation.
But on that, and I agree with you, but do you think at the pace everything is changing, you think these degrees are keeping up with the changes in curriculum? Like, think about somebody doing a master's even in AI. What they taught today would probably change in a month's time. So, do you think that would keep up, or how should? Like, I'm actually confused as to what the model is that we should be looking at now.
Yeah. I think the degree will not be able to catch up to evolution because the evolution happens every single day.
Yeah.
You got better processor, you got better algorithm, you got more data. So the advancement of technology is continuous.
Right.
It's rapidly moving. Your education can set a structure similar, but you can't change your education, after one semester you want to be graduate. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So we are not looking for a education system or syllabus that is correlated with the speed of the evolution.
Yeah.
It's not possible. However, the education should base on the fundamental knowledge you need to learn. Because if you look at the AI is all about mathematics. It's all about algorithm. You're talking about statistics, probability, advantage, all this kind of stuff. So fundamental AI is nothing more than a bunch of formulas.
It's true. That's true.
Statistical formula. So what you need is you need to understand the formula, right? You need to understand what is a fundamental of neural network. What is the calculus findings. So things of that, I think university can lay a good foundation.
That's true.
Because once we have the foundation, the tools is going to increase our productivity or the value added needs to go into society. But laying that foundation doesn't matter how much or how fast the evolution is happening. Because the evolution will not happen without a strong foundation.
That's actually very true. And you're right, like you need to have those foundations in place.
Correct.
But let's face it, because I haven't seen how it works at the back end yet. So it's been a struggle trying to upskill to understand how things work at the back of AI, right? Neural networks or even just how people are training up LLMs. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. So it's quite different from the banking industry. If you look at the service sector, they don't really need to deal into the technical detail. They don't need to understand what is the regression model.
That's true.
What is the formula within the knot of a neural, and what is for its forward propagation algorithm. They don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
What they are more important is whether they can improve the service to the customer.
That's very true.
Yeah. So banking might not be a good illustration of how use the fundamental knowledge. It's just that we use the existing tools to provide a better service to the customer, to the clients.
Actually, that's true.
But things might be different if you work in a research institutions, in the IBM, for example.
True.
Yes, then you need to understand the foundation to create a different knowledge.
Yeah.
So it depends on the industry. I would say a lot of the London industry with accounting, in the insurance, financial services, probably is more on the end user side rather than coming out with a new technology. We have the research.
That's true.
Technologies.
That's
why you wouldn't need to worry about how to derive a neural network.
It's always interesting.
Yes. Yes.
So you touched upon this, Ronald, and financial services. Now, when I was growing up, or let's say I came to the LSE, and one of the biggest things they put in your brain is maybe getting a job in banking, right? It's just by virtue of the university itself, a lot of banks come, or a lot of big four come there and have career fairs, and people start applying for internships, and students just think that, banking or financial services, that's the main crux of the job you should get. Like, you've worked with financial services. Is it as colorful or amazing or hunky-dory as we're taught? And does it pay as much compared to the hours you work? Do you think the return on your workload has been as amazing as they make it out to be, or you think can be a lot different or better elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. So what I think is there's always a marketing package when you sell something to the company. Doesn't matter it's a university student or something. They need to package in a way that's exciting,
Yes.
attracting. What they say is not wrong. They probably say we are shooting. It's just that they are emphasizing on the interesting bits.
Right.
But they'll say, you need to actually also do the governance side.
Mm.
You need to produce a lot of reports. You need to fill in a lot of forms. Like they didn't mention, I didn't highlight it. They say, see the come out with this, but use this tool, get this model. So they are just, when they do this marketing to a graduates, to people who are to seek for a job, obviously they're going more side of excitement, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So whoever apply for a job should understand there's a bright side of things. There's also a not so interesting bits of job.
Right.
It can be a financial services. It can be engineering. It can be a construction. Everything has a bit of good side and not so interesting side. So I would say this for people who look for those jobs, understand the collective package of what this consists of. Manage the expectation.
Yeah.
Don't expect everything is, always a peak in the career. Yes, ups and downs.
Very much so. Yeah.
So once you have that, once any person who expect kind of job and with the same expectation, with a realistic expectation, then it wouldn't come too much of disappointment.
That's true.
Job.
Sometimes, it's like the realization, right? You suddenly realize, okay, I had thought something else about my life, and you realize, and suddenly there's.
So it's why it's so different. I was not sure about this.
That's true.
So manage the expectation, do some research, and probably that will be better.
That's very true, actually, first. So on that, and we're obviously seeing it around us as well, Ronald. But I think when we were growing up or when we chose our degrees, and I know you had a diverse period, and we had to experiment a bit more with where I'm at today, but white collar jobs or professional jobs were considered very rewarding. Or we come from cultures where we focus on such jobs or we focus on earning power. Now, obviously, we're talking about how fast the landscape is evolving. Part of me now thinks with how the market is changing and layoffs are happening, maybe people who have had a vocational skill, like somebody who knows plumbing or somebody who's a carpenter or somebody who can physically do something, build something. I feel like they're in a much better stead. And that's the part I wanted to check with you. What have you noticed around you? Obviously, now I have just done an MSc. You also invested in a PhD. So you've paid there's the implicit cost of studying. You've paid your way through the explicit cost of paying the fees.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true, or there is some scope that white collar jobs are still there and we won't be replaced as much?
Yeah. I think certainly some job will still be there. Some job will be evolved. Some job will be disappearing.
You're right.
Yeah, so that's for sure. Doesn't matter it's a blue collar or white collar.
Right.
But what is interesting is previously, if you look at the industrial revolutions of things, disruptive technology, they are primarily affecting the blue collar job, labor intensive job.
That's very true.
Yeah, if you get, let's say, the agriculture that have a new machine, you don't need so many people. They can replace, the cow, the plow the land, factory, a lot assembled, no need. You don't need so many factory workers. That's a nice, optimized production line.
Right.
So traditionally, technology impact more on the blue collar job because those are labor intensive. It can be easily optimized.
Yeah.
It's like an automate.
Right. Right.
However, unfortunately, things change in the last few years. The AI is going to impact, in my opinion, more on the white collar job.
Optimize that side.
Yes. It will optimize a lot of the office job, a lot of even the strategy job.
Yeah.
A lot of the processes that needs to be unique by high intensity knowledge driven. It can be done by AI in no time. If you get a good model, it can do it for you. Okay, you need to calculate, maybe put some human in the loop, but you're going to remove a lot of the people who currently in that positions.
That's true.
So you're right. I think that AI is going to have higher impact in the white collar job at the current rate.
Right.
In the future, I'm not sure because if they integrate AI with human robot, humanoid,
That's so true.
where if you and I can tune a human and do daily
Yeah.
job, can do a construction, a robot doing construction, then it will impact everything. Like, it doesn't matter what color or blue color, it's going to impact everything. Like this current phase, because we doesn't integrate, simply we're not aware.
Yeah.
I think primarily, I think the white collar job service sector particularly is going to be.
No, and I've noticed even me, right? 30% of the admin tasks for research projects, they're gone.
Yeah.
I literally put it in AI and get the results and I fancy it. I will review it. You will have to look and
After we summarize something or your bunch of thousands of emails, we can just
they definitely doing a stellar job. I don't have to think about how I present a slide. I can literally put it in the model and give me a good up. What is your I'll just fancy it up a little.
and they give you a much beautiful presentation, like nicely done.
Yeah, and you don't have to align, put icons, and it does everything for me.
Yeah.
It does everything for me.
Yeah.
So Ronald, I know we touched upon this earlier, and you said, you wherever you've lived, you've looked at the pros and the cons, and now that, like, as we think about getting older and where we're headed, and even retiring, do you think retiring in the UK is a good option, or you would want to go to, let's say, your country of origin? You think Malaysia would offer you good opportunities? Like, I'm just trying to think holistically from if we had to give these insights to people. You live here firsthand, what would you suggest or advise?
Yeah. I think there are a few things are important in the farm.
Yeah.
You need to consider quite carefully. First, the money is limited.
Right.
They only have a limited amount of pension fund to do. So what is the best place value for money?
True.
Is it in the UK, in Europe, or is it in countries like India, Malaysia,
Yeah.
and Vietnam, for example? But that's Southeast Asia is a lot cheaper. So Malaysia is certainly with the same amount, £100 you can get even more, much further in Malaysia than here. So money wise is big consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, it is health. Right? When we get old, tends to get sickness. So which country gives you good health?
That's good. Yeah.
So I think UK NHS is a really good service for all. You don't need to worry about your health.
Do you have something similar in Malaysia?
We also have something similar.
Yeah.
So Malaysia is also pretty good.
Malaysia stick to what?
We have care. Obviously, people who think public healthcare is not good when they want to sort. They want to go to the private healthcare, then it's a lot more expensive.
Right.
But there's a public service is also really available.
It's very nice.
And the third thing is when you go, what you tend to do is you need a community.
So yes.
You don't want to live alone in a very peaceful world. You need a community. You can live things together. You can check out each other. So where is the best place for you to form a community?
I'm sure Malaysia has been.
So probably the same cultures, speak the same language, maybe like similar food, similar.
And I feel like people are more out and about there.
So if these three, that is my own personal preference. If these three things is good in particular countries, I think that countries is worth considering.
Noted. So from the way you've explained it, seems like Malaysia is trumping everything.
I think Malaysia, I think there's a survey of top 10 best country to retire. Malaysia is one of the top 10.
No, that is impressive. I can't say the same about Pakistan, But how's the weather in Malaysia? Is it?
Sorry, it's a summer, yeah.
And that's how it is all year round.
It's all year round. But
To be honest, I feel like the weather here can make one very miserable in the road, right? It's raining, it's cold, like 7-8 months of
yeah.
So I decided to get a wool in the summer, like.
True. But now the technology or air conditioner places you go to is quite nice.
Yeah.
So I think whether unless you go out, you like outdoor activities, otherwise it's probably no difference. So all in all, I think because of these factors, I would say Malaysia comes to be a more attractive option for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, it's not winter, it's right.
Preference.
Right.
And a lot of people probably also get accustomed to where they have lived, right? Like some people are so comfortable here,
Yes.
they might not even think about all these things and what to do.
Yeah. And you look at UK statistics, a lot of the British people, they retire in Spain and Portugal.
I can see why, right? You can get like a beach house for cheap or somewhere. I feel like UK, the communal aspect does go missing, at least in London. It does get lonely unless you have family.
Yeah.
It's
That's what too many people you go out, they will take chill, and
yeah,
it's a bit polluted as well. So
it's quite a lot. The Central London has changed.
very polluted. The pollution level in the tube station was
Crazy. Um, surrounding on this, right? Like, I know a lot of people don't think about retirement at a younger age. It's something that doesn't even cross their mind. Like, I know for a fact that when in Pakistan, we focus on our earning power and we focus on spending as and when, like,
okay.
but just because you worked in financial services, you worked in different countries, you have an understanding and exposure. How young were you when you started thinking about retirement or pension? And what would you advise others to sort of look at and start thinking about? Or I feel like a lot of people are probably financially illiterate that they don't even realize it. So do you think it's easy? And if you want to make it easy for somebody, what would you tell them?
Yeah. This is a very important question because this question, surprisingly, is not taught in the university.
I hear.
Very strangely, most important things that we need to apply in life was not taught.
Thank you.
Any of the academic.
You didn't set us up. It's because you didn't set us up.
So I think I can learn the hard way in a society.
Yeah.
So for me, retirement is about collecting wealth and investment, but investing the money appropriately so it can generate wealth.
Right.
At the stage of retirement, there is always an income, either a passive income or distribution or asset. And you can live quite comfortable without worrying
about what
the fund is running out. Yeah. So in order to build that cushion, you basically need to understand, or someone need to understand how much money they need to live on something. Different people have different level of comfort.
Sure.
Yeah, some people want to travel first class or live in 5-star hotel. Then obviously, expenses is they don't cash as well. For mine, I'm quite realistic. I just want to be comfortable. So good food, good accommodation. Yeah, you can buy anything you want if you want anything.
Without thinking about it.
That for me is the comfortable one.
Yeah.
How to achieve that? I think you need to consider a few things. If you look at a human career lifespan, we can say we start looking at the age of 25, let's say, at age of 25, after all the internship and university or master degree. So we'll start at 35.
Yeah.
And probably 25, probably you don't want to work until 67.
Yeah.
You probably have to work, let's say, I don't know, 55, 60. So,
yeah, I think 55. I'm already tired.
Yeah, so we are talking about 30 years, 35 years maximum.
Yeah.
Within the 35 years, you need to collect as much wealth as possible so that you can live a good life after 55.
Very true.
So how do you make sure we can achieve that? I'm still working on that. I've never reached the level of comfort yet.
Yeah.
But you need to think about what is the best way to achieve it.
Right.
In the context of UK, I think the clearest way to save money is pension.
Right.
Because pension 1 year 60,000 is more taxable. It's tax efficient.
Right.
So you can put up to 60,000 pounds per year.
Right.
First now you need to 6,000. But whichever money you can put in pension save you a lot of money but tax efficiency.
Got it.
And the pension fund typically is low because you put in the investment fund. Younger you got a more risky profile.
Yeah.
Older age you get less risky profile.
Yeah.
So the growth will also differ. But if you look at the pension fund,
generally it's up.
Actually it's up. Organically good. So it's quite good. Yeah, 100 pounds it probably come to 100 pounds in the future.
Right.
So pension is one. The second thing is obviously the investment. I think Asian people like to have property as property can create wealth.
That's real thing.
Appreciate.
Yeah.
So can have a rented town.
Right.
It's not always true because there are certain times like London property now has gone down. So it's
and flats are making losses, right?
yes,
So
it's making losses. So it's not always the property. So it's appreciate all the time. It will go down, it will go up.
right.
But generally, property is still a more stable kind of investment.
It's your asset at the end.
Yeah. It is an asset because it is a appreciation.
Yeah.
So if you leave it for 30 years, I'm pretty sure property will
Yeah, long term it will still hold.
even a flat after 30 years, I'm pretty sure you'll come up. If you sell within 3 years, 5 years, like yes, you can.
And also with those one flats in London, which are anywhere 3 to 5 times more expensive. They're like a fancy property elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one of the good investment is property, but property, you need to manage your risk. The upfront cost is quite a lot.
Very much.
Everybody can do out the one. So, but property, once you got enough cushion to pay the property, I think that is a sort of investment. Don't put everything in property, but I think property is one of the way. Not necessarily bad for example, you'll just suffer, but we're not.
It's very cheaper and
Cheaper, the yields are there.
very much.
The third one is a lot of people invest the index.
Oh, yes.
So, the 100 index for the UK or the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these last one, whatever. I think if you follow the index, if you look at index, it's always going up because it diversifies the portfolio, right? So that's also what you also can get like dividends.
Yes, yes.
So I think index is a good way. But more risky way is people do need to say more high risk stocks, equities, or some people do forex stuff.
Yes.
But these are more high risk. I would say that if you do not know that about it,
Then don't do it.
you don't do it. Only,
It's like counting the money otherwise.
only do it if you got this money you can afford to lose.
No.
Otherwise, you can buy some good stocks, good blue chip company where you get the dividends and you also get the appreciation.
Yeah.
So these are some big investment. I'm not sure about things like precious metal. People say you can buy gold. I'm not so familiar there, but I'm sure certain precious stuff, commodity is also good.
And if you leave it long enough, it might give you some profit.
Yeah, so it's good also. So I think these are a few things that common people like us can enjoy. We are not the big people that you can buy company. That's a difference.
We're not billionaires by
Together. So we wouldn't think about buying company.
That is not typical investment thing.
Normal people, investment people, invest in your pension, invest in your
Property.
in a property, invest in some more liquid assets, in
Yes.
stocks, like
Index fund.
ETF, index fund, things like that. If you have all these tracks across, carefully across the 30 years of your career,
Yeah.
manage it carefully, I think by 55, 135, you are in a very good position.
And you would have, even if you bought a residential property, you would have paid it off. So you don't have to worry about rent and no mortgage. You have
I think, that's very important thing. What we want is at the end of our career, we want to be debt free.
Yes. Thank
You
you.
don't have to worry about this month I will pay.
Rent involved.
I will want to be debt free. No car loan, no mortgage.
Thank you.
Yeah, no credit card, nothing, credit card loans. Okay.
But on that, in terms of car buying, Ronald, do you think, so you know how it is, especially I think in Western world, I think it's a very debt-driven economy, very much on credit, even on credit. And a lot of people end up buying cars on hire purchase or PCP, the lease, where there's a lot of interest they pay. Do you think it's a smart move? Do you think people should focus on a mid-tier car, just buy it in cash? What would be your advice?
Yeah. My advice is it depends on your stage of life. Because when I started my career, I also would try to be more frugal.
You're right.
So I can have more resilience.
Right.
I can live more difficult life while creating the wealth. Because as a young person, we will be more energy policy.
But young people end up splurging,
Yeah, you got the resilience, so you can actually have a push-up to say, I can live not so good life,
Yeah.
creating my wealth.
Right.
However, at a certain point of life, you say that, what's about life? Life is about experience and about enjoyment. You also do not want to live miserable. You want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Therefore, I would say it depends on your life feel. For right now, if you ask me, I want a comfortable life. So I will rather say, even though the car, changing the car is not for being a sensible things, but to give me comfort, give me joy, I will do it because now I like enjoyment.
Yeah.
I want to lead my day. I want to make my day.
I should go through the hard part.
I gone through a part, right? And I want to live at the moment.
Yeah.
So if I enjoy having a nice car, I'm going to buy it within my financial limit of course. Yeah. But I will also trade off. I will not just look at the money.
Yeah.
Make sure my comfort is also not compromised.
Got you.
Because we only have how many years? That's why we can live up to 100 years, so we only have 100 years.
Part of 100, I'm sure the last 10 years in hard to survive.
So even we live comfortably or healthily up to 80 years, so it's actually not many years we can enjoy a lot.
That's very true.
Think about this. Get the best out of a life journey. That's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. I agree with you. And Ronald, just I think last week, um, I'm gonna phrase it and see if how you want to answer it. One is, do you have any regrets in life? And secondly, on an ending note, what would be your advice from all your life experiences? Any message you want to give to people, who are aspiring to be somebody like you eventually? What would you advise people as an ending message?
Do I really regret? Not very strong regrets. Because my life was gone through several phases. And every single phases, I try to give the best of it. If I study, I study hard. If I work, I work hard. If I enjoy hard. So I don't think I can really regret. I could have better optimized. There are certain things I can do better. For example, it would be better if I stick to one career path.
Yes.
Then I can research it in the horizontal zigzag. Just one skill.
The lateral move you at the
Lateral move a lot.
Yeah.
This thing type like pro skill.
Yeah.
So that's probably, if I can go back, probably would calibrate that to make sure that I can find optimal path
right.
to reach to that.
But that life taught you experience.
But that's already when you look at a client site.
Yes.
But you won't be able to progress in just 30 years ago, I will not think about that.
That's true.
So I would say not regret, but rather there's opportunity to recalibrate the optimal path.
Smart.
What my advice to other people is, I would say that everybody should be accountable for their life.
Right.
Do not think everything is privilege. No, not everything is a right.
Yes.
You have right to be given this, you have right to be given, like you have a right to use this technology. Then there's a wrong assumption. So everybody should think that he or she or they should be responsible for their own life and they need to be accountable. For them to get a successful life, they need to work hard.
Yeah.
They need to make things out for themselves, study hard, create a good relationship with family, with friends, with the working environment.
Yeah.
And then to be honest, have a strong integrity.
Yes.
You do things that is against our value.
Yeah.
Do things that is appropriate, the right path. Treat people with respect. And then you get opportunity where it comes. When opportunity comes, is don't just, lie back and lay back. Make sure that all the hard works you need to utilize all the resources you use to declare that opportunity. And then unfortunately, with this mindset, someone will have a good life eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a very good advice. And I think hard work is something that people forget nowadays because there's so much noise around us. And unfortunately or fortunately, the cancel culture and there's a lot of entitlement, which I noticed.
Entitlement, yeah. Not so resilient now.
Yes, thank you. They don't want to do the hard hours. They don't want to do the hard work.
Exactly.
But now that you're sitting here and we see it around us, the hard work you've done earlier has paid off in the long term because now think about it. Any task you would do at work, you could take it 2 hours. We perfected it. The hard work, you can do it in 10 minutes.
Correct. Yes.
Same with life, right? Put in the hours, you'll have a good life.
Yeah. Do it now, do the foundation, and then you'll be confident of what you do.
Okay.
So when I'm not reaching my end of career still.
You have an idea. But we've tried the entrepreneurial route. I think I'm still thinking about it. I feel like I've left it too late. Not many people have.
Never say late. Help the opportunity.
Just have to grab it. Take the risk.
Exactly.
No, but I think that was all. Thank you, Ronald. I appreciate you taking the time out for us.
Sure.
And we've gotten some really good insights from you. So please implement all that he's saying. This is coming from years and years of study and experience, and all from a good place. So thank you, Ronald.
Follow Zarish Rasheed Podcast and like and subscribe Zarish Rasheed on YouTube.